Good afternoon all. This is Dr. Akshay K. I am an assistant professor from D.I. Patil College of Physiotherapy. My today's topic name is Aerobic and Anaerobic Metabolism. The objectives of this lecture are student will be understanding what is aerobic metabolism, what is anaerobic metabolism, what are the exercises that come under aerobic and anaerobic metabolism, warm up, cool down, and group exercises. The definition of aerobic exercise refers as the definition is aerobic exercise refers to the type of repetitive and structural physical activity that requires body's metabolic system to use oxygen for produce energy. So any activity that can be continued for 30 minutes and longer will be considered in aerobic activity. So for that we need to understand one thing that doing daily activities or working is not considered as aerobic activity because that will consistent or that will be having some breaks in that activity. So it's better to whenever we are considering aerobic activity, we should always consider about the exercises and it should be continuously for 30 minutes or longer. Aerobic exercises improve the capacity of cardiovascular system to uptake and transport oxygen. Can be undertaken in many different forms with common feature that is achieved at heart rate of 70 to 80% of the age appropriate maximum. So aerobic exercises, as we have heard about, aerobic exercises are very much necessary and will be improving the cardiovascular system and cardiovascular endurance. That has various forms like pace walking, jogging, cycling, swimming. Any activities which are consistently doing at low to medium pace will be considered as aerobic activities. It will be having a person's maximum heart rate maximum that can be or that will be calculated with 220 minus person's age, and that will be the heart rate maximum of that person. And with aerobic activities, a person can reach to 70 to 85% of that person's maximum heart rate maximum. It is considered as a cornerstone of endurance training characterized by moderate energy expenditure over prolonged period of time. In aerobic exercises, we should remember that whatever activity that person is doing or whatever activity you are doing, it should be continued in the moderate pace. The pace, moderate pace and moderate intensity. So the energy expenditure that is happening at that time of activity will be in moderate energy expenditure will be there. It will be characterized into low, moderate, and extreme or intense. So whatever aerobic exercises we are talking about or discussing about, it should be at a moderate pace and for longer duration. For summarize it, aerobic activity can be long duration activity with low to moderate intensity. Okay, so walking or pace walking we can consider as long duration and aerobic activity because it has long duration and the energy expenditure is moderate. Is any activity that uses large muscles group can be maintained continuously and is rhythmic in nature. Aerobic activity has to be rhythmic in nature. We can take a walking, cycling, swimming. So the large muscle groups are involved, and if you are involving large muscle groups with moderate intensity, you will be able to do the activity for longer duration. Okay, so again, when we talk about walking, I'm taking example again and again because that is the best exercise, aerobic exercise you can start with or you can have it. So the thing is that when we are discussing about the walking, we'll start with the muscle groups that are involved. Initially, we'll start from the downward from the foot. It will be involving calf muscle. After that, in the thighs. It will be quadriceps, hamstring, gluteus muscles. After that, it will be coming to core and pelvic floor muscles. So again, it is coming to big muscles. After that, it will come to abdominals, back extensors, upper pectoralis, upper back muscles, and scapular muscles. And it will reach to cervical muscles further. So in this activity, although seeing or I am looking like I am standing over here and not doing much, but to maintain this posture also, all the muscle groups in my body are working. So in walking, what will be happening is that major muscle groups that are present in your body, those will be working. And because the major or large muscles are working, the active with moderate intensity, that is a very important point, that large muscle groups with low to moderate intensity, it can be continued for longer duration. Aerobic activity depends primarily on aerobic energy production. It is muscle group activated by the type of exercise rely on aerobic metabolism, using oxygen to extract energy in the form of ATP from the amino acid and carbohydrate and fatty acid. So for aerobic exercises, you need continuously as the oxygen will be utilized for production of energy. The energy is utilized or energy is produced in moderate amount. So continuous supply of oxygen at moderate intensity will be required, and that will be sufficient to maintain the activity going. The examples of aerobic activity include walking, cycling, swimming, jogging, dancing, hiking, long distance running. You can see all these activities have, you can do it in high intensity also, but if you want your aerobic system to work and work on aerobic system, you're supposed to do the activity in moderate intensity. Activities like walking, cycling, swimming, jogging, dancing, all these activities can be done in moderate intensity, and you can, because of that intensity, you can do it for longer duration. Aerobic system has following characteristic: glycogen, fats, proteins are fuel sources and are utilized according to the intensity of exercise. Okay, for aerobic system, initially we'll see further also, but these are the raw materials or these are the fuel sources which will be utilized to create energy with the help of oxygen. So glycogen, glucose, fats, lipids will be utilized, and proteins are will work as a fuel source. Oxygen is required, as it is called as aerobic system. Oxygen is required in continuous succession. ATP is resynthesized in the mitochondria of the muscle cell. As mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the muscle cell or body, powerhouse of the cell, all these synthesis of ATP will be happening in the mitochondria, and energy production will be carried out and continued from there. The ability to metabolize oxygen and other substrate is related to number of concentration of mitochondria in the cell. What it directly means is the bigger the muscle, the more the mitochondria will be there and more energy will be generated. So it will be related to, as we can take an example of professional bodybuilder, they have more strength, or you must have seen in movies also, the people who has better muscle girth, better muscle size, huge muscles are able to lift heavy weights, are able to lift heavy things and do activities with much more forces. So the number of mitochondria, if the number of mitochondria is more in the muscle, that will directly lead to increase in energy production. So more bigger the muscle, more the energy. The maximum capacity of aerobic system is great, that is 90 mole ATP, and the maximum power of the system is small, that is 1.0 mole ATP per minute. We need these numbers for when we go for anaerobic system. Okay, the numbers will be exactly different. The maximum capacity of system will be a little more in the anaerobic system. Maximum power of the system will maximum capacity will be less, and power will generated in the anaerobic system will be more. The system predominates over the other energy systems after the second minute of exercise. Now when you are doing activity, it won't be continuously. If your activity is in a continuous succession in a certain intensity, after some time aerobic system will be switched to anaerobic, or anaerobic system will be switching to aerobic system. So as per the intensity of the activity changes, the system will change. Now we'll have a brief idea about the anaerobic system. Definition: anaerobic exercise is an activity that breaks down glucose for energy without using oxygen. So that is a basic definition. As we can see in anaerobic, in the name, oxygen is not utilized or used to produce energy. Generally, these activities are of short length with high intensity. The idea is that the lot of energy released within a small period of time, and the oxygen demand surpasses the oxygen supply. So the basic difference in aerobic and anaerobic is there. In aerobic exercise, continuous oxygen supply will be there, while in anaerobic exercise, the oxygen is not exactly utilized at the time of energy. It will be whatever stored glucose is there that will be utilized, and later on, as the activity stops, the again oxygen will be utilized and energy will be produced. So we'll see in detail in further. Exercises and movements that require short bursts of intense energy are examples of anaerobic exercises that can be weightlifting, jumping, or jumping rope, and sprinting. So now the basic difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercises, we can see over here that anaerobic exercises will be having burst of energy for very short duration. So now if we consider a person going for weightlifting or jumping ropes. Okay, unless and until you train yourself for high intense activity, a normal person will be lifting weight. If we consider bicep movement, okay, bicep curl is one of the exercises. If we consider this movement, a person who needs to lift the 10 kgs of dumbbell, he'll be going to 15 repetitions, 20 repetitions, maximum 25 repetitions, and then after he has to stop. Okay, the reason behind that is anaerobic energy system. It will give burst of energy. A lot of energy will be released in short period of time, but the duration will be limited because of that. So in aerobic exercise, what we saw is that activities like running, activities like walking, marathon running, you will the intensity of activity or requirement of energy in that system is moderate, and because of the energy is released in moderate quantity or low to moderate intensity of activity, the activity can be continued for longer duration. In anaerobic exercise, the energy is released in short, very explosively or in short bursts, and very big amount of energy is released, and because of that the activity can be continued for very short time only. Anaerobic energy system. The physiological pathways for anaerobic energy systems are a lactic anaerobic system, that is short duration of energy around 10 seconds or ATP-PC system, and second is lactic anaerobic system, medium short duration of energy, that is 60 to 90 seconds, or anaerobic glycolytic system. The duration which is given over there is the lactic system will be providing energy for 10 seconds, which is very short duration. But if you consider the bicep curl, the exercise will be done within 10 to 15 seconds only. You can't continue to go for 1 to 10 minutes with the heavy weight. Lactate anaerobic system, that will be providing energy in 60 to 90 seconds. It's not in minutes, it's in seconds. So it will be divided in that parts. The anaerobic energy system, also called as lactic acid system, is the body's way to create energy in form of ATP quickly. Primarily using glucose as fuel, this energy system powers the muscle anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds of intense efforts. Okay, so as you can see, you must have heard about HIIT, high intensity interval training. In that, what happens is that person, I'll tell you some name, some exercises like push-ups, squats, then pull-ups, and again burpees. So these exercises will be given in a succession, that a person has to do 10 sit-ups, 10 squats, 10 burpees, and then 10 push-ups. Okay, so these will be slot, and he has to continue or complete the whole task within 1 minute, because that is the maximum time, that is the time in which anaerobic system works, and maximum energy will be given in that particular period of time. After that, that person has to stop, because again the oxygen has to reach the muscle, ATP is to be produced, and energy is to be synthesized again. The system stops when it is worked or overworked, or energy is over there, and then in the brief time of resting, the energy will be replenished again. The anaerobic system does not use oxygen, it creates ATP quickly through glycolysis. Even though this energy system produces energy rapidly, because of anaerobic byproducts, this duration is limited. So as we see, the anaerobic system is is not using oxygen, and because of that it will be generating ATPs or power with the help of glycolysis cycle. And because it is generating power, and because of this cycle it has a byproduct, that byproduct will be limiting the synthesis, or limiting the duration of that energy. Because of that byproduct it will be having pain, and muscle won't be continue to work further. We'll see about the byproduct first. Further, phosphagen or ATP-PC system, it has following characters. Phosphocreatinine and ATP are stored in the muscle cells. Phosphocreatinine is the chemical fuel source. No oxygen is required, that's why it is anaerobic. When muscle is rested, the supply of ATP-PC is replenished. So, as we discussed in anaerobic system, there won't be supply of oxygen, continuous supply of oxygen to the muscle will not be required or will not be needed. When the muscle will rest, at that time oxygen will be provided, and other energy production, ATP-PC will be replenished after the muscle is resting. So I'll give an advice for aerobic system. We can consider one. We will take only one exercise. Others can be remembered as an example. For easier consideration, for aerobic system, we will be consider marathon walking. You can run marathon for like 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and pro athletes they'll be running it for 40-45 kilometers. And for anaerobic system, which is a short burst, short duration, high intensity, we can consider bicep curl with heavy weight of 20 to 25 kgs. Okay. The maximum capacity of system is small, that is 0.7 mole ATP, and the maximum power of this system is 3.7 mole ATP per minute, where the maximum power of aerobic system was 1.0 mole per 1.0 mole ATP per minute. The system provides energy for short and quick burst of activity. It is the major source of energy during the first 30 seconds of intense exercise. That's what I told. That's what we are discussing right now. That anaerobic system will be providing energy for shorter duration. As we consider, if a person is lifting a dumbbell of 20 kg or a barbell of 20 kg, he'll be able to do it for short duration only. He won't be able to do it for longer duration, as because the aerobic system is providing energy and there is presence of byproduct after that, after the work is done, after the energy production is happening, and because of that byproduct, that is lactic acid, because of that byproduct it will be shortening the duration. Anaerobic glycolytic system, it has following characters. Glycogen is the fuel source utilized by glycolysis. No oxygen is required. ATP is resynthesized in the muscle. Lactic acid is produced, which is the, as we are discussing continuously, it is the duration limiting character in the anaerobic system. The maximum capacity of system is intermediate, that is 1.2 mole ATP. The maximum power of the system is intermediate, that is 1.6 mole ATP per minute. So for the first system it was power of 3.7 mole ATP per minute, and for anaerobic glycolytic system the power is 1.6 mole ATP per minute. The system provides the energy for activity of moderate intensity and short duration. It is the major source of energy for the 30th to 90th second of energy. So, as we are as we are moving further, we are dividing the energy duration of energy consumption, or the duration of energy consumption. We have started from 10 seconds, then 30 to 60, and 60 to 90 seconds. So different energy systems will be providing energy at different points of the intense exercises. Physiology of anaerobic energy system. The anaerobic energy system produces significantly less ATP than its aerobic counterpart, and it leads to buildup of lactic acid. As we were discussing, the byproduct is lactic acid. The small amount of energy is produced, but that will be utilized in very short time. So you will be able to do heavy activity or heavy power output can be expected. Exercise is typically thought of as anaerobic consist of fast twitching muscle. Example, sprinting, high intensity interval, as we discussed, high intensity interval training, and power lifting. So fast muscle and slow, fast twitching and slow twitching muscle fibers are there, which will be utilizing in anaerobic system. Fast twitching muscle fibers are there because as we can say, if person is going for bicep curl, a person is going for sprinting. Opposite to the marathon running, sprinting will be activity which will be continued for 100 meters only, while in marathon a person is running for 20 to 40 kilometers, which can be considered normal in marathon athletes. Okay, so person is running for 100 meters in the anaerobic metabolism will be helping him in that. A person who is running for longer duration, he'll be aerobic metabolism will be utilizing that. What anaerobic metabolism will be doing with a person with 100 meter is that he has to stop after 100 meters, because the burst of energy, the explosive amount of energy will be provided in that distance or that amount of energy or that intensity of activity, high intensity activity. It will be energy will be provided for short duration only in low to moderate intensity activity, as energy is getting utilized in moderate to low intensity, or the activity intensity is moderate to low to moderate, the energy will be provided in a longer duration, and aerobic metabolism will be utilized over there. Sustained anaerobic exercises causes sustained increase in lactate and metabolic acidosis. So for anaerobic system, as we discussed, it doesn't need oxygen to produce energy. So what will be happening in that is byproduct is there, which is lactic acid is one of the byproducts, and as you continue, the byproduct will, as you utilize the energy, the cycle will be happening, glycolysis will be happening, and byproduct will be starting generated over there only. Continuously, the byproduct will be generated and it will be accumulated over there. It needs some time, it needs the muscle to rest to get washed out. As the effort becomes more intense, the amount of lactate eventually outpaces the body's ability to use and clear it. The byproduct can be used and clear. It can be used and it is cleared. Excessive byproduct will be cleared in the body. It will be washed out. But if you start with the anaerobic activity, it from the beginning only byproduct will start. If you continue with the same or more intensity for more duration, more byproduct will be accumulated and it will be putting stress on the system, or it will surpass the system which is either utilizing it or washing it out. So the person has to stop over there, get the muscle rested, and then he can continue with the further activities. The transition point is referred to as anaerobic threshold. The transition point will be where the lactic acid production or amount of lactic acid passes the lactic outpaces the body's ability to use or clear it. It is called as anaerobic threshold. Through the process of glycolysis, blood glucose or muscle glycogen is converted to pyruvate, which will either enter the mitochondria or will be converted to lactate depending on the intensity of activity. So this is again part of the glycolysis system, and depending on the what intensity of activity you are doing, the byproduct will be either synthesized or washed out. Pyruvate enters the mitochondria at exercise intensity levels below the anaerobic threshold, that is the surpassing the excessive lactic acid produce compared to the body's rate of utilizing or washing it out. At the intensity level above anaerobic threshold, the capacity of mitochondria respiration, the complete breakdown of carbohydrate is exceeded and pyruvate is converted to lactate. One, it is converted to lactate. It will be converted to lactic acid, and that will be limiting the duration of the activity of that particular person. With this increased exercise intensity, there is a shift towards the recruitment of more fast twitching muscle fibers which have metabolic characteristics that increase glycolysis. If you increase, if you we can consider a person who is lifting now other than 25 kg, if you consider that person is lifting for 10 kg, which he is kind of familiar of, or he has lifted it earlier, or he is used to lift that much weight. Initially, the muscle as the person will start exercising, he will be initially will be lactic acid will be produced and it will be stored. As the intensity of that activity increases, more and more fast twitching fibers will be recruited for that, and whatever energy is produced for that energy, it will be producing byproduct along with that, and that will again reduce the duration of activity. Recruitment of motor units. Recruitment is dependent on the rate of work and recruited accordingly during the exercise. So, if we consider there are two type of fiber, fast and slow twitch fiber. As per the activity, fibers will be recruited. If a person is if we consider a person is going for skipping, what will happen is that initially fast twitching fibers will be recruited. If that person continues with that and body needs more energy or more, if the person increases the intensity with some weight vest or something like that, they more fast twitching fibers will be included. If the person reduces the intensity of the activity, lower the number of fibers which are recruited will be lowered. Slow twitch fiber, like type 1 fiber, are characterized by slow contractile response, are rich in myoglobin and mitochondria, have high oxidative capacity and low anaerobic capacity, and are recruited for activities demanding endurance. So, slow twitching fibers, we can take an example. We can take as example marathon running. So slow twitching fibers will be utilized for marathon running, in which endurance activity is there, intensity is low to moderate. Fast twitching fibers type 2A are characterized by fast contractile response, have a low myoglobin content, and have few mitochondria, have a high glycolytic capacity, and are recruited for activity requiring power. And fast twitching type 2A have characteristic of both type A and type 1 and type 2 fibers, and are recruited for the both anaerobic and aerobic activities. So fast twitching fibers type 2B will be recruited for the heavy weightlifting or heavy activities that needs more energy. For that, fast twitching fibers, that is type 2B fibers, will be utilized, and fast twitching type 2A fibers will be utilized in both endurance aerobic and anaerobic activities. Further, we'll be learning about the fitness and components of fitness. The definition of fitness is the ability to perform physical work is called as fitness. Performing physical works requires very many factors, which are its components. Components of fitness are cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. So, fitness is comprises fitness. Under fitness, these all points are necessary, which are we going to consider if a person is fulfilling all these points or fulfilling all these parameters, then that person can be considered as fit. Cardiovascular endurance, first point. It is the ability of the heart and lungs to work together to provide the needed oxygen and fuel to the body during the sustained workloads. Example would be jogging, cycling, and swimming. So, whenever we are doing any activity, right now, if I consider that I am standing, it might look like that nothing more is happening, but if we consider, if we look closely, what we see is that my calf muscles, tibialis anterior, quadriceps, hamstring muscles, as I named all the muscles for running, currently all those muscles are working to keep me or make me stand me upright. Okay, so for small activities also, for all these muscles to work, our cardiorespiratory system has to provide oxygen continuously. As I'm doing activity which is of low to moderate intensity, I'm just standing currently right now. So I am utilizing energy in very moderate fashion or very slow manner. So it can be, the muscles can be provided energy for longer duration. For that, the system which is currently utilized in my body is aerobic system, in which continuously oxygen is provided to my body, that is reaching to the muscles, and energy is provided or generated over there. Okay, so basic activity like standing or you are going for exercises, our cardiovascular system has to be efficient enough to provide all the required glucose, all the required oxygen to our muscles, and then only muscles will be able to generate energy. The Cooper run is used for the most often test for cardiovascular endurance. There are various tests which are used for counting the cardiovascular endurance, and by that test, depending upon your age, weight, height, and other parameters, it will be calculated whether your cardiovascular system is efficient enough to support whatever activity you are doing. Next point is muscular strength. It is the amount of force of a muscle can produce. Example would be bench press, leg press, or bicep curl. The push-up test is most often used in the test to test the muscular strength. So muscular strength, as you can understand, or you can see, normally what we consider is that muscular strength, you should be strong enough to do your daily activities, or your at least your daily activities independently on regular basis without getting tired. If you are getting tired just by doing the normal activities, then you need to strengthen your cardiovascular and muscular system, both the system. Now, the muscular endurance, it is the ability of muscle to perform continuous without fatigue. Examples would be cycling, step marching, and elliptical machine. Sit-up test is most often used to test the muscular endurance. So, muscular endurance is that. So, basic difference between strength and endurance is that in strength, I might be able to lift a 40 kg, okay, but in endurance, that how many times I can lift. To increase the repetitions or to increase the longevity of exercises, I have to reduce the weight. Okay, if I reduce the weight to 10 kgs, I'll be able to do it for 1 minute or so or more than that. So muscle is how much, strength is how much you can lift, or how much you can push, or how much strength you have, and endurance is for how long you can continue a certain activity. So muscle has endurance. Endurance activity can be considered as cycling, swimming, jogging, and as we're taking example in aerobic exercise, marathon running will be considered as uh, endurance activity. Next point over here is flexibility. It is the ability of each joint to move through the available range of motion of the specific joints. Examples would be stretching individual muscle, or the ability to perform certain functional movements such as lunges. The sit and reach test most often used to test the flexibility. So flexibility is that muscles, whatever the muscles normal range is there, the muscles are always attached to some joints, and that will be, if the muscle is not lengthened enough, or not having the full length of its own, then it will be leading to restrict in the joint, whatever joint it is getting attached. If we consider bicep muscle, if this muscle has a full length, I'll be able to extend my arm. If it doesn't have full length, I won't be able to extend my arm. So flexibility of muscles is very much needed to do normal activities. People are having hamstring muscle tightness. It is one of the most common muscle tightness. They will be suffering from back pain very regularly, because most of the activity, what will happen is that hamstring muscle tightness, it will be hampering the knee flexion and extension. It will also working on, or it will also putting unnecessary pressure on pelvis, and that will be translating to your lumbar vertebra. So a person having glutea and hamstring tightness will be having continuously back pain just by doing regular activities also. So whatever activity we are doing, we need to maintain the flexibility of our muscles which are present in our body, and which our muscles are regularly and routinely getting executed to do the activities. Body composition is the amount of fat mass compared to the lean mass, bone and organ. It can be measured underwater with using underwater weighing, skinfold readings and bioelectrical impedance. So you must have heard about the body composition and BMI, body mass index. That index divides body into normal, and that will be divided into overweight and obese. So by the fat content or fat percentage of your body will be categorized from the lean to obese. Okay, so what will be calculated is that how much muscle mass you first will be how much fat content you have, then it will be compared with your muscle mass, your bone mass and your organ weight. Okay, in bioimpedance machines they will be calculating whatever amount of water you have in your body at that particular moment. So body composition, it has to be, the body fat has to be between the ranges of 80% and some marginal error, some variation is there. So 80%, 18%, 15 to 18% is considered as ideal body mass for fat, and that will be there will be ideal mass for muscle also and other things also. So if you go for a bioimpedance machine, that will be giving you an idea that how much fat you have. So you can compare it with the what is the normal or what is the advised range of fat you should have, and you can work on that. Same for muscle. The bioimpedance machine will be giving you an idea that how much muscle you have. So by that you can plan your treatment or plan your exercise, that whether you want to increase the muscle and till what extent you should increase the muscles. Underwater weighing is considered the gold standard for body fat measurement. However, because of the size of expense of the equipment needed, very few places are set up to do this kind of measurements. Normally, currently we are using bioimpedance machine, which will give you all the data just within a minute. So now, as now we are talking about the what all exercises you can do. And what all exercises, how the systems will be helping you do the exercises. Now we'll be moving further. While doing the exercises, what all things you should do. So you must have heard about the warm up. You must have heard it. We'll see the how important it is, warm up, cool down, and other factors which are important in exercises. So first is definition. It is a time lag that exercise that exists between the onset of activity and the bodily adjustment needed to meet the physical requirement of the body. That is called as warm up. The purpose of warm up period is to enhance the numerous adjustments that take place before physical activity. So warm up is very much needed. Your system and your body should be ready for exercises. You cannot directly start exercising. I'm standing over here and suddenly I start running and doing push-ups and doing sit-ups and squats. It will cause injury to my body because my system, my body is not ready for the exercises. So initially we'll start with the warm-up. The physical responses when you start with a warm up, what all physical responses will be there during this period? There is a increase in muscle temperature as the blood supply starts going, and blood supply increases towards muscle. As the muscle activity starts, the increase in muscle temperature will be there. The higher temperature increases the efficiency of muscular contraction by the reduction of muscle velocity, reducing viscosity and increase the rate of nerve conduction. So all these changes will happen when you start doing normal exercise. So for warm up, what we can consider is from joint rotation from ankle till neck. From neck you can start just clockwise 10 repetition, anti-clockwise 10 repetition. Then you can go for shoulder, forward 10, backwards 10 repetition, then elbow, wrist. Along with that, you can go for waist, then you can go for hip and knee in a similar exercise. Just rotation and just movement without putting in much efforts in that, and then you will go for ankle rotations. Warm up improves the muscles and tendon flexibility and joint lubrication. As the temperature increases, the muscle flexibility and muscle tendon flexibility and joint lubrication increases. As muscle stiffness is thought to be related to muscle injury, to encounter that, to encounter that, enhancing muscle flexibility and reducing viscosity should be help in minimizing the risk. So, if the muscles are warm, they'll be stretching more, tensile strength is stretching more easily. If cold muscle, just for understanding, sake of understanding, if we consider cold muscle, they won't be stretching that much easily, and there are high chances of microscopic injuries happen, which will further result into DOMS and increased need for oxygen to meet energy demands for the muscles. So, if we start with warm up, what will happen is that body's respiratory system, cardiovascular system will start gradually increase the provide supply of oxygen because the demand of oxygen is gradually increasing. Demand of oxygen is gradually increasing, so supply will be gradually increased. Okay, so system needs some time to get adjusted to these changes, and that's why we should start with warm up other than directly starting with intense exercising. Extraction from the hemoglobin is greater at the higher muscle temperature and facilitating the oxidative process at work. So because of increased temperature at muscle, the oxygen extraction from the hemoglobin will be happening at higher rate, and that will be provided to the muscle. Dilation of the previously constricted capillaries with increase in the circulation, augmenting oxygen delivery to the active muscles and minimize the oxygen deficit and formation of lactic acid. So these will be changes. Finally, completing the exercise specific warm up drills will be activate neural pathways to enhance the reaction time and communication between the nerves and muscles. So because of that, if you warm up for specific exercise, you must have seen the football matches and cricket football matches. A person who is going to be in the ground as a substitute, he'll start warming up before the substitution happen, because if he doesn't do that, then the body is not warm and he won't be able to directly continue or start playing or start high intensity activities. So initially exercise specific to that particular sport will be helpful for increasing the neural pathways, and that will be helping in that person to perform better. They additionally help in stimulate the motor patterns we need to need for our exercise. As a person is, if we consider a person is going for basketball match, another person is going for a football match, another person is going for a kabaddi match. If these people do the specific exercises required for that specific force, they will be observed that they have a better performance in the ground compared to if they don't do the specific sport exercises. Adaptation in the sensitivity of the neural-respiratory system to various exercise stimulus. As the exercise starts, our sensors which are present at cardiovascular system and respiratory system, they will be getting activated, and that will be again helping in providing more and more oxygen to the muscles. An increase in venous return, this occurs as blood flows shifted from to the centrally from periphery. So whatever the blood that has provided oxygen with the deoxygenated blood will be coming back to heart, and again it will be getting filled with oxygen, and again it will be provided further. The purpose of warm up is it prevents or decreases the susceptibility of muscular system of injury. As we have discussed further, muscles are cold, they won't be most tensile, and there are high chances of causing of injury. Prevents occurrence of ECG changes and arrhythmia. Sudden ECG changes won't be there, and it will be preventing, warm up will be preventing the sudden ECG changes. It improves muscles readiness to start working and contract. As we discussed other, for particular sports, if we do particular warm-up exercises, that will be helping in the performing into the ground. Exercises generally take 10 to 20 minutes, and we can do, as we discussed, we can go for just body part rotation exercises with minimal to low to moderate intensity or minimal intensity, just the rotation for 10 minutes, and that will help in increases the body temperature and whatever effects we saw earlier. Low intensity, easy jogging building up to 3/4 pace over 5 to 10 minutes. It's the jogging a little faster than walking or pace walking will help you in increasing the body temperature or warming up the body. Other form of warm up is dynamic stretching. In static stretching, you just hold the part for longer duration. In dynamic stretching, you can just move it, the part will be moving, the muscle won't be having a sustained stretch over there. You can go it for 10 minutes. 5 to 10 repetition for every joint is fine. Exercise specific activity. For football, you can go for dribbling, shooting hoops, and passing basketball for basketball activities. It will be helping you in getting ready for the sport. Dynamic stretching has been shown to be superior to static stretching in warm up. Always remember, in warm up, dynamic stretching is has shown better result other than static stretching. So that has to be performed. If you are performing warm up, you can go for dynamic stretching and not the static stretching. So one of the activities, bending sideways, dynamic stretches for hamstring and quadriceps. A person who will be doing exercise, he'll be doing repetitions for like 5 to 10 repetitions for each limb, and the intensity as from low to moderate. Next is cool down period. We'll see the physiological responses, purposes, and exercises. Definition: the cool down is lowering the body temperature and heart rate back to normal. Cool down will be cool down will normally include very light aerobic activity and static stretching. Physiological responses: some light aerobic activity after exercise like walking will be help in returning body temperature to normal, and that has to be gradual to the baseline. This will help in get rid of muscle of lactic acid and other chemicals built up through the exercise, reducing the risk of delayed onset of muscle soreness. As I told you before, if we don't warm up the exercises, then what will happen is that muscle won't be tensile enough, and if you start working on that muscle or start activity with that muscle, it will be having other effects, and there are high chances of causing microscopic injury, which will be leading to delayed onset of muscle soreness, that is called as DOGS. Okay, to reduce that after exercise, what you're supposed to do is you should go for some light activity. Okay, so we consider that you were preparing or you were exercising for you just had a football match, you just had a basketball match, or some other event that needed high intensity exercise, high intensity activity. So while stopping that, other than abruptly stopping it, you should go for either static stretching or low intensity aerobic activities like walking on a treadmill, walking on a flat surface, like that. If you don't go for that, there are high chances that you will land up in the muscle will land up in DOMS, and it will be troublesome. Adding the static stretches to the cool down will help the muscle to further relax and return back to their normal range of motion. As the muscle strength increases, there are high chances, if you don't go for stretching, there are high chances that muscle will get tightened. Tightness will be generated or will be there in the muscle, and that will be again leading in restricting the joint range of motion. This is also the great time for your heart rate to slow down, return back to baseline while you are still active before you are completely rest. So when you are stopping the exercise, other than stopping abruptly, you should go for cool down. It is mandatory, either low intensity aerobic activity or static stretching, that will give heart some time to gradually come down to baseline. The purpose: prevent the pooling of blood in extremities by continuously by continuing the use of muscle by main venous return and prevent fainting by increase the return of blood to the heart and the brain as the cardiac output and the venous return decreases. So these are the purposes why we need to do the cool down, enhance the recovery period and prevent the myocardial ischemia, heart arrhythmia, and cardiovascular complications because you are giving heart to gradually come down to baseline. You are not abruptly starting with that because you will be doing some high intensity exercises and then you will slowly come down. Cool down exercises can be static holding of any stretching, count till for 30 seconds for every muscle that you have used, or you can go for light aerobic activities like walking on a flat surface or walking on a treadmill. Total body exercises such as calisthenics and static stretching will be there, and period will be 5 to 10 minutes. Hold the back of your thigh, gently pull your legs towards you to feel the stretch and through the hamstring. This is the position for hamstring stretch. You are supposed to maintain this position for 5 to 10 seconds. Hold the position like that, and you are supposed to continue, keep on breathing and counting. So the static stretch can be maintained. Light aerobic walk for 5 to 10 minutes and static stretch. This is for calf stretching. The left leg is getting its calf stretch. You are supposed to hold this position again for 5 to 10 seconds to observe the better results. Now, three type of exercises we are talking about. First is self exercise. Second is group exercise. Third is mass exercise. Now, self exercise is exercise when you are doing it on yourself. All bodyweight training can be considered in a self exercise training. Normally, what we see in the gym, in initial phase, when you need least support or weights are very low, you can consider those things into self exercise. Next will be group exercises. Normally we take these exercises for people of group of like 5 to 8 people or 10 people will be there in a one group, and the orders will be given by one person that what exercise and what movements they are supposed to do. These group exercises will be consist of people who are having same problems or same outcome they are gathering over there. So for group exercises, we can consider exercises in a hospital where as we must have seen in COVID, a therapist was used to stand in between, and he or she used to instruct it to 5 to 7 people that what all exercises they are supposed to do. That can be considered as a group exercise. Other example is yoga exercises. There is one teacher who is instructing and who is giving instruction to the whole group that what all exercises they are supposed to do. What happens? What are the benefits of group exercise? Patient becomes independent and to practice exercise at home. Boosts patient's confidence and helps in forget his or her disability, and patients recovery get faster. Disadvantages: faulty selection of patient. When there are like more than 8 to 10 patients, you can't consider all the illnesses of every patient, and that is one of the flaw. Inadequate explanation to patient. Whatever explanation you are giving to that patient, it is not necessary that is sufficient for that particular patient, and every patient understands when you telling it once or twice. Okay, overcrowding is one of the disadvantages. If you are taking more people than you can handle, it won't be reaching and the efficiency will be coming down. Misunderstanding of exercises will be there, obviously, because will be people who are not doing the exercises and coming for first time. So misunderstanding of exercise will be there, and there are very less chances that you will be able to correct it because there are a lot of people, and personal attention is very much less personal attention. Starting and end of marathon, there will be a person who will be instructing the whole group for doing all the exercises. Before the marathon, they will be going for warm up exercises, some activities, some dance or something like that. after the marathon, they will be going for stretching exercises, that how they are supposed to perform the stretch. So there can be around like from 20 to more than that people around. Group can be of hundreds also, 100 people also, and one person will be telling them exercises and performing with them. Thank you so much. This is all for aerobic and anaerobic exercises and metabolism.